Stewart Donald has already started to work on making Sunderland competitive again by searching for Chris Coleman's successor. After a dramatic day on Wearside brought confirmation Ellis Short has agreed to sell the club. The Northern Echo understands Donald and the international consortium of football investors he has been asked to front made the decision to release Coleman following his failure to halt the slide into League One. Coleman, who gained enormous sympathy among supporters despite his failings given the conditions he has had to work under since accepting the challenge in November, is already being talked about as a potential replacement for Mick McCarthy at Ipswich. But Donald's focus is to appoint a new manager at the Stadium of Light, one capable of leading the Black Cats to a promotion charge in the club's first season in the third tier of English football since 1988. Ex-Sunderland manager McCarthy, former Reading boss Jaap Stam and former Oxford manager Michael Appleton, as well as Steve McLaren, are among the early names being linked with the job. Donald, the East Light chief executive, has decided to accept the challenge of reviving Sunderland subject to the takeover being approved by the Football Association and Football League, which will mean him having to step down at the National League club. And Donald, who has a 10% stake in Oxford where former MK Dons boss Carl Robinson is in charge, is determined to ensure that Sunderland have everything in place from here on in to enjoy a change of fortunes. For that to happen, he will be responsible for appointing the right manager, the 12th permanent boss the club will have had in the last 10 years. Donald said, Eastleigh and Oxford are different cases to each other and, of course, smaller than Sunderland. The similarity, though, is that there is also a lot that needs to be addressed here, and it needs to be addressed with realism, focus and dedication. For a club with one of the best fan bases, stadium and academies in the UK to find itself in League One is unacceptable. We have a carefully thought-through plan to restructure the club, make it sustainable and, with the help of the fans, to restore its sense of pride and reconnect it with the local community. In short, we are rolling our sleeves up to do what needs to be done to ready this club to start competing again. The chances of Donald and the investors he is forming a team with being successful have certainly been helped by Short's decision to move on and pave the way for a fresh start by erasing all of the club's debts. Donald said, all of us involved in this bid believe that Sunderland represents an extraordinary opportunity. Our group have all been involved in building, or rebuilding, football clubs to reach their potential and we believe that over the last decade we have acquired the necessary skill sets to overcome the many challenges that will face us at this huge club. The last set of accounts published at this stage last year highlighted around £110 million worth of debt and there was expected to be a similar figure posted in the coming days, so Short has taken a huge decision to walk away with a loss after his 10 years at the club. Short said, it is no secret that I have been trying to sell Sunderland, but I have waited until the right group came along that have the experience, finances and plan to take this great club back to where it deserves to be. Overall, my chairmanship has not gone the way I would have wished. The many high points of a decade in the Premier League have been overshadowed by the low points of the last two terrible seasons. I was therefore determined to ensure that I leave Sunderland in the best possible hands and in the best possible state to turn the corner. To achieve this, higher offers from less qualified buyers were rejected, and I have paid off all debts owed by the club to leave it financially strong and debt-free for the first time since years before I owned it. Assuming that Stewart and his group win EFL approval, it only remains for me to wish them, and all associated with the club, the very best for the future. I will be a Sunderland fan for life, and hope to return as a fan to watch them climb back to where they belong. What the development means for Sunderland's chief executive Martin Bain is unclear, although it would seem Donald would be assuming that sort of role at the Stadium of Light. Bain and Coleman had struck up a strong working relationship since the latter succeeded Simon Grayson in November. The pair have had regular contact while Short has kept a low profile, with Coleman leaving having never even spoken to him. Even after relegation was confirmed after losing at home to Burton 9 days ago, Coleman still stuck to his claims that he would love to have the opportunity to turn Sunderland around. But after winning just 5 of his 29 matches in charge, losing 16 of those including at Fulham on Friday, the decision was taken by the incoming board members to release him now. The lucrative contract he still had 2 years, worth a reputed £2 million, to run on could also have come into Donald's thinking, even though Coleman did hint he was ready to take a pay cut to stay on just last week. Coleman is known to have been included on a short list at Portman Road, where McCarthy left recently. A statement released by Sunderland read, Sunderland announces that manager Chris Coleman and his assistant Kit Symons have been released from their contracts. the club would like to place on record its sincere thanks to Chris and Kit for their tireless efforts in what has been a hugely disappointing season for everyone involved with the club. Club is unable to make further comment at this time.